Hi guys, and welcome to the DB vlog episode 6, exercises to avoid. So my purpose before this episode, guys, is not to go on a rant and tear down exercises. It's more about helping you refine your program. That's really the key thing that I'm going for here. It's not about saying, oh, this exercise is terrible, it's bad, and you're stupid for doing it, and all the rest of it, and then leave you with nothing. That I don't think that would be a good thing to do. So, what I'm going to do is tell you things that we're going to investigate a few exercises which probably aren't the best for us. These are things that are very common, but once we start to actually break them down, they're probably not the greatest thing. But I fully intend to replace them with better things for you. So again, it's just going to be a simple case of, look, let's not do this because it's doing X, Y, and Z, and let's do this instead because it gives us benefit A, B, and C. Again, it's going to give us much more bang for our buck. And again, it's all about helping you to get wherever you're going faster, to get much more out of your programming. So you're not wasting any time. Again, we only have so much time, we only have so much energy. We want to make sure that we're putting our time and energy in the right, on the right things. We're trying to move not only the biggest rocks, like I always say, but the right rocks. We're not trying to pick up the wrong things. No, we're trying to just get the most out of that time that we have. So let's not waste our time on things that not only not effective, but could actually cause an injury or cause problems later on down the road. And let's do things that are going to reduce our risk of injury, get us to move better, improve our performance, get the correct muscles working, and then ultimately, it get us better results. So that's where I'm coming out with this. With this episode. So again, I'm just going to go through three, the main three exercises that I really don't like, and and again, I'll give you some very valid reasons why, and again, I'll give you some better alternatives that you can start bringing in, and you can start, putting into your programming, and hopefully you start getting some better results. Okay, so the first exercise that we're going to replace, I'm not going to say chuck out, uh, even though I know we kind of are chucking out. It's not my intent to upset anyone who likes doing these exercises, but again, hear me out. Let me give you these reasons why we probably should stop doing this and what we should do instead. So again, it's all about refinement. Let's replace this with something else. So my first one, the one that does drive me a little bit crazy, I'm going to explain why. Curtsy lunges. So curtsy lunges, for me, there may be worse exercises out there. There may not be. That one for me is way up the top about of things that we should just stop doing and start doing. There's better things we could be doing. The reason why I don't like curtsy lunges, again, I'll just show you what it looks like. I'm not maybe not the best one. Maybe I'm not doing it justice, but from what I see. So again, we have that lunge set up. Again, we step back into that lunge, but rather than putting our foot back here, we're going to put our foot back here. So we're going to get a lot of what we call external rotation on this side of the hip. And I'm going to slide that leg back through here, and then I'm going to drop down into this position. Okay. Now, if you've seen the corrective exercise playlist that I did on the low back, hip, knee, the lumbo-pelvic hip playlist, if you've done that overhead squat assessment, and again, you watch that video and you've done it yourself, or again, you've just seen the video and you've seen the signs of dysfunction, so the signs that we look for, they would indicate dysfunction of that segment. You can probably tell, again, if I go do that curtsy lunge, it's right there, knees bow in. So as I'm stepping back here, I'm just forcing my knee to go that way. That is not a good thing. That is not something that we want to be doing. What I'm basically doing there is I'm driving my femur inward and I'm driving my tibia outwards. So my femur, my thigh bone is going this way, my tibia, my shin bone is going that way. So femur that way, tibia that way, that's going to create a heck of a lot of stress on some of the structures of my knee. So definitely, as I drop in like here, this whole outside section of my knee, that whole lateral compartment is going to get compressed. Okay, I'm going to start getting wear and tear on that joint. Also on the inside of my knee, all of the stabilizing ligaments, some of the stabilizing ligaments that help to keep my knee, stop my knee from collapsing in, they're going to be put under a lot of strain. And again, that could very well eventually lead to quite a nasty injury, or at least pain in that knee joint itself. So again, we could end up causing a lot of problems again at that knee joint. So it's definitely something that we don't want to go to. The other problem again is, well, if you look at my foot, once I come down to this position, I'm basically just driving, because I'm driving my knee this way, again, my foot is having to, in order to get down in this position, because I'm getting excessive rotation of my fibre, of my femur. I'm having to flatten my feet out. So my arch of my foot here has to collapse. And again, that's very important that we keep that arch, because it helps to stabilize the foot and helps to dissipate forces coming up through the ground. And again, it helps to keep my knee where it is. It helps that keep aligned with my hip. If I come down here, and again, I start to lose all of that. Again, that I'm going to set off. Again, that's another sign of dysfunction. Again, on our overhead squat assessment. That again, we don't want to cause that sign. We don't want to do an exercise that's going to exacerbate those dysfunctions. We want to be in that, close to that optimal position. So again, if I do this, I'm causing my knee to go this way, causing my feet to flatten. I'm losing that arch, so my ankle's having to compensate. And again, that's gonna end up firing up a lot of those commonly overactive muscles. So I'm gonna get muscles like my TFL up here, my adductors, those calf muscles, especially on that outside side of my calf. That's all gonna gear up. And again, if I have any lower body signs, which are quite common, so again, if you do that overhead squat assessment and you have knees bowing, you have feet flatten, you have feet turn out, we're just going to make that worse. That's going to get worse. It's going to increase drastically our risk of injury. So again, it's just not doing us any favors whatsoever. Again, hopefully you can see that this just doesn't look, this isn't a good look. This just doesn't look great. Knees going that way, foot's going that way. That is not a great position for our body to be in. Worst of all, if we start loading that, we start holding dumbbells in our hands, and then that's just even more load. That's even more pressure on those joints. Again, we're just going to end up running into a brick wall eventually. Something is going to go wrong. So, like I said, we're going to replace that with something else. So all it is, you could just do your lunge, your good old standard lunge. There's nothing wrong with it. Remember, we want to be close to that, as close as we can to that optimal, or in that optimal position. So that should be, feet second and third toe forward, knee tracking over the second toe, knee, toes, second toe, knee should be in line with that, with the pelvis. So again, that should be in line with that bony bump on the front of your pelvis, that's your ASIS. So that should all be a nice straight line. So then when you do your lunge, again, keeping all that straight, we can just step back. And again, now my foot is straight, my knee's going to go over my second toe. Again, my knee's in line with my hip, with my pelvis. Again, I can come back up. There's no knees collapsing in, there's no feet turning out. Everything is lined up. So all my muscles are at the correct length. Some aren't being put into a short position. Some aren't being put into a lengthened position. They're all where they should be. I don't have any excessive pressure on my ankle joint, my knee joint, my hip joint, my spine. Everything is as it should be. Forces can get distributed evenly as they should be. Again, there's no excessive loading on any of those joints in that position. Again, I could just do, if you want to change your lunge pattern up, you can definitely do that. So we can work in different planes. So if you want to come out of that traditional lunge, that sagittal plane lunge, we could do, a lunge to the side, do the frontal plane. So we could lunge down this way, again, and come back up. Again, notice what I'm doing. Because this is my working leg. as I do that side lunge, in my second and third toe still forward, my knee still over my second toe, and my knee is still in line with my pelvis. Again, I'm not doing this, I'm not turning out that way, I'm not turning in this way, everything is straight. Again, I can get into that position, and again, I can come back up. So again, everything is as it should be. Or again, I could do a transverse plane lunge, a rotational lunge. So again, I would just rotate 90 degrees to face to the right. So I would step and then drop into my lunge. And then again, I can reset. But again, even as I do it this, again, I'll show you this way. Even as I step out to the right, I'm still gonna plant my foot, second toe forward, pivot on my back foot, come down my knee, still over that second toe, still in line with my pelvis. I'll come back up again. So I'm not getting any of those compensations. I'm still inoptimal. I can still work through different planes. I can go forward, I can go side, I can rotate. I can do all of that stuff without having that compensation, without forcing. Basically, with the curtsy lunge, I'm just forcing a range of motion that I don't have. I'm just driving excessive inward rotation of my hip, excessive external rotation of my tibia, causing my feet to flatten and being able to get down to the floor. Now, these are just all things we want to stay away from. So let's replace those curtsy lunges with either a traditional lunge, like I just said, or we can do the sidewards lunge, you can do the rotational, or you can just do a squat or a deadlift or a step up. All those things are all good, or the leg press even, they're all going to be better alternatives. So that's the first exercise I'd say that we need to replace.